Carol.
Now I want to dive in right now because we've got some explaining to do. Captain Marvel is one of the few superheroes on the roster who has a dedicated meter that drives their playstyle in a certain direction. In order to be the best she can be, which she would tell you is doable, she absolutely needs to go binary. As you play Captain Marvel cards, you're going to build up her binary meter. Once filled, you'll be granted a free card called Go Figure. That's not what it's called. The card is called Go Binary. It grants block and increases offense by 100%, making her attacks and heroics ridiculously powerful. I can't stress how important it is that we get Carol into her binary state as quickly as possible. Her damage output is absolutely insane. Now, here's the kicker. Binary is going to be lost if her block ever reaches 0. Thankfully, she does have cards that grant block, so that's easy, right? Sure, but many of her cards also add taunt. You see where this is going? There's a little bit of a push-pull system here, and it's really fun to try and manipulate it to our advantage. Playing off her desire for taunts, one of her attacks will deal extra damage to enemies that are targeting her. Cosmic Ray seems pretty straightforward at its most basic implementation, but invest in upgrading it and you'll gain counter after KOing with Cosmic Ray. I don't believe we've covered the counter mechanic yet, so just like Captain Marvel, I'm not going to run away before I tell you how it works. When you gain counter, you're going to deal damage to all enemies that attack you for an entire turn. You take the damage first, but if you got a powerful taunter who dishes out Danvers levels of damage, you're clearing the field pretty easily if you get the right card draws. Now that you know how counter works, you're going to have a deeper appreciation for Captain Marvel's passive called Didn't Feel a Thing. Spending some quality time with Carol at the Abbey is well worth it because her level 1 passive gives a 10% chance to gain 1 counter on KOs, and her level 2 passive increases the chance to 20%. In my opinion, it's one of the S-tier passive abilities because you're capable of putting out so much damage with counters, and it's happening during the enemy's turn, no less. So it's straightforward enough to build up and enter the binary state, but keeping it is another thing entirely. One of her skill cards called Regroup is certainly going to help with that. If you play Regroup, you'll hold on to binary status a bit longer as it's going to grant you more block that Hydra has to work through. But it's not just that, it's granting you above average heroism, and when you upgrade it, you'll also gain health. One of the potential late game mods that could come up would be the ability to cure Danvers via redrawing Regroup. So think back to a couple episodes ago when I was showcasing how Spider-Man works. I was pointing out how he would need someone capable of dealing a little bit higher single target damage. I can now reveal that one of those heroes I was alluding to, of course, is Captain Marvel. Rain of Blows is a perfect example of this, but there is a cost to pay. Rain of Blows will consume all of your current heroism, and the damage it does scales based on how much heroism you just consumed, resulting in massive damage output. The cost? Well, all the precious block that you've been protecting, gone. But it's more than block that's gone, isn't it? Remember, Carol also loses binary status when she runs out of block. So it's for this reason that Rain of Blows is ridiculously powerful, but it must be used at the correct time, because it's going to be a little bit of a reset that happens. On upgrade, Rain of Blows will deal more damage per heroism, and one of the mods that you could add in the late game could even grant you resist on knockout. Let's wrap up with a stellar explosion, a supernova, if you will. For only 2 heroism, Captain Marvel's Midnight Suns card is sure to impress. It's simple and it's effective. Playing Supernova brings up a large circle for targeting that allows you to hit every enemy that you can within its borders. On upgrade, you could even increase the area of effect, and one of the late game mods could see you adding a redraw ability that gives Captain Marvel resist. Remember, binary status equals more damage. Binary status equals more damage. Binary status? Yeah, you got it. You're a quick one. Hopefully you've noticed how impressive it is, what you can achieve when you have an accident with a piece of alien technology. Carol Danvers is without a doubt one of the most powerful damage dealers on the roster. As always, I want to thank Marvel and 2K for partnering with me on this series, and I want to take a second just to thank you guys for watching and being really hyped up about this game. I know you're excited to get your hands on it yourself.
You got one thing right today, Sabretooth. Heads are definitely about to roll.
You may have some assumptions about Wolverine's playstyle, and you might be right about some of them, but to clarify, he is focused on using his adamantium claws to chain damage between multiple targets. He'll taunt enemies, and most importantly, He's got a nice little self-healing mechanic, but there's a twist in there. More on that later. Like other superheroes with chaining, he makes for a fantastic recipient of combat items and other buffs that he can use during his chains for max efficiency. And squads with Wolverine are really going to benefit from somebody who deals high single-target damage. But Wolverine does have a few cards with a mechanic we haven't covered yet called full combo. Let's get into that first. The first attack we're going to explore is one of Logan's chain attacks called Lethal Pounce. Now, obviously, hitting multiple targets with one card is great. But you know what's really great? Options. What if instead of using your chain to hit multiple enemies, you really just wanted to punish one of them? Full combo's got your back. If you choose to use all of Lethal Pounce's attacks on a single target, then you're going to gain Strengthened, which boosts your damage by 50%. Pretty solid opener if you ask me. If you decide it's better to take out multiple minions, that's also a job well done in my book. All in all, this card's a solid staple for a Wolverine deck, and the upgrades will grant even more damage. If you see on screen here, one of the late game mods can add weak to your enemies. If you got something like that, you may want to share the love and ignore full combo. Just depends on the scenario. Again, options are nice. Now in the intro, I mentioned that Wolverine can self-heal with a twist. Well, if you spend enough time with him in the Abbey, you'll be able to unlock and upgrade his passive called Healing Factor. Just be careful when you're hugging him, or actually just be careful around him at all times. The claws aren't toys, I'm serious. At level 1, his passive is going to trigger every time you use redraw on a Wolverine card, and that's going to grant you some health. At level 2, it's going to grant even more health, which keeps him alive significantly longer. Starts to feel truly unkillable. And speaking of that, the twist. In Midnight Suns, you get 1 or 2 revives every fight, depending on different factors like combat items, etc. Well, Wolverine, he doesn't go down easy. And if he does, he's not staying down for long. If Wolverine does go down, you'll immediately draw the Rapid Regeneration card, which allows you to revive him. But hopefully you've been planning ahead, because you're going to need 2 heroism for it. And although the card doesn't use up a card play, you're only going to get this card once per combat. So don't get too comfortable out there. In the Dark Phoenix saga, Wolverine once said, "Okay, suckers, I'm taking your best shot. Now it's my turn." I feel like this perfectly sums up Wolverine's whole vibe. He's an angry tank, but without block. Instead, enter Rapid Healing. It's not just a heal, it's got another twist. Of course, playing Rapid Healing will restore 50% health to Logan, but it will also cure him of any other negative status effects. Well, what's the twist here? Remember, Wolverine doesn't go down easy. So even when he's incapacitated or unable to act, he can still play this card, which normally would not be the case. That's insane. Oh, we're not done. It can also be upgraded to replenish 75% of his health. Oh, and it can gain +1 redraw as a potential late game mod. Oh, and it generates heroism. Yeah, it's pretty good. Speaking of heroism, notice how most of his abilities have really low heroism cost? Let's hear your thought in the comments about who would pair well with Wolverine and take advantage of that heroism build-up, based on what we know so far. Now, wait a second. Do you guys smell that? No? It smells like one of my favorite skills in all of Marvel's Midnight Suns. That's right. Stink of Fear is here. Besides having quite literally the best animation in the game, the actual gameplay implication smells beautiful too. Stink of Fear will taunt every enemy in an area and grants Wolverine counter. You get a claw. You get a claw. Everybody gets a claw. On upgrade, you'll be applying weak to every enemy you targeted, and one of the potential late game mods could grant your squad an extra move on the turn. I just want to play the animation for you one more time. Okay, I'm done. Okay, for real. Now, we talked earlier about Wolverine not using a lot of heroism, and while that mostly holds up, Logan's Midnight Suns heroic ability is the exception to that rule. Midnight Special scales with how much heroism you have when you play it. When played, all heroism is going to be consumed, and you'll see Wolverine damage random enemies. How many times enemies are damaged is determined by the amount of heroism that you spend. And as he continues attacking, he continuously does higher amounts of damage. The upgrade for this is great too, because you'll be able to refund heroism for each knockout, and one of the late game mods can even add weak. There's a lot of great situational uses for this, but pick your timing wisely, because this card will be exhausted when played, as we've seen with other extremely powerful cards. So that's our Canadian on the squad, and I'm proud to say he's representing us really well. Keep it up, Logan. Wolverine will make for a great addition to many squads. I think he's going to be a fan favorite, to be honest. Thanks again for watching these videos, everyone. If you're not subscribed to the Marvel's Midnight Suns channel or my own, what are you waiting for? You don't want Logan to be angry, do you? We've got a lot more content to show you between now and the release of Marvel's Midnight Suns. It's been an absolute pleasure showcasing Wolverine today. My name is Christopher Odd, and before wrapping up, I want to thank Marvel and 2K. Now, Doctor Strange is the ultimate support hero, capable of easily fitting into most squads. Heal an ally? Yep. Completely conceal them? Absolutely. Grant them protection? Why not? Cure them? Yes. Restore combat items? What's that, you might ask? Stay tuned. Although he's capable of fitting with most squads, he will excel most when paired with other superheroes who aren't consuming all of the heroism. Some of his strongest abilities revolve around a mechanic called Enhanced. Up until now, you've mostly seen cards that have a flat heroism cost, but when you spend more heroism on them, cards with Enhanced will gain additional benefits. I'll get into some examples later on, but while we explore what Doctor Strange is capable of, use your own Eye of Agamotto to learn a few new mechanics you may not have heard of yet. The first skill that we're going to cover today is called Astral Meditation. On the surface, this seems peaceful and serene, but this card can potentially turn the tide of dangerous battles single-handedly. Astral Meditation is going to restore combat items. If you haven't heard of those before, combat items are single-use consumables that you can choose before a mission and use at any time. Casting Astral Meditation will see Strange look to the skies, and he'll conjure up an extra use of a previously used combat item. As if that wasn't enough, he's also going to grant the team 2 additional redraws. A couple people I can think of that might like that. And he's going to generate above average heroism too. If you upgrade this, you can restore additional combat items, and one of the late game mods can grant the ability to draw the last attack card that was played. Now, I don't know about you, but I've heard that Doctor Strange is a little bit of a thick cloak, but if you can break through that and build his friendship levels, you'll be well rewarded. His Greater Good passive ability can generate a ton of heroism that he thrives on so much. At level 1 of this passive, he'll have a 50% chance to gain 1 heroism per turn, but you get that to level 2, and you'll have a 50% chance of getting 2 heroism per turn. This is actually huge. Heroism is so important in this game, and for him to just be dropping heroism very regularly is pretty massive. You can make a solid argument that Greater Good is one of the best passives in the game, actually.
Yikes, indeed. It took all this for me to realize. But I'm thankful I did.
Now imagine, if you will, one of your best buds is in a dire situation. Multiple Hydra forces are about to pummel them so hard they won't be able to feel the vapors of Valtor on their face afterwards. Well, I got a very conveniently named card for you then. Playing the Vapors of Valtor will allow you to conceal either Doctor Strange or an ally for that turn, making them completely untargetable. The ultimate save. At higher levels, Vapors of Valtor will also be capable of healing and potentially applying 2 fast as well. So far, Strange has shown that he's a savvy spell-casting Sorcerer Supreme with spells that scale to satisfying states. I couldn't resist. Instead of targeting individual allies like Vapors of Valtor, Strange can use the Shield of the Seraphim to help everybody at once. By granting everyone resist, he's letting them block the next instance of incoming damage. When upgraded, this card can also cure, and one example of a late game mod could grant some extra card draw. Oh, and of course, harkening back to what we talked about earlier, it can be enhanced with extra heroism to add more instances of resist to everyone. The Captain America shield, that's got nothing on the Seraphim, let's be honest. You might be wondering, does Doctor Strange do any damage? Yeah, he does a lot, actually. You don't get the title of Sorcerer Supreme if you don't have at least a little something extra hidden in that cloak. Now, you built up a ton of heroism with this Greater Good passive, right? And now you get to reap the rewards. Summon in the 7 Sons of the Cinnabus, and you'll see what I mean. Strange's Midnight Sun's heroic ability is an AoE targeted spell that deals massive damage, and you can even enhance it with extra heroism. Investing in upgrades for it will lower the required heroism for enhancing, and can even allow you to redraw the card for some health recovery if you get lucky with a late game mod. So that brings us to the end of the de facto Doctor Strange deep dive. Remember, you're going to see a lot of him not only in combat, but also in the Abbey Forge as he handles research and artifact study. Speaking of seeing a lot of something, you need to see all of these hero showcases. They've been a blast to make, and I think you guys are really enjoying them, so thank you so much for continuing to watch. Check out the links down below for the playlist and all things Marvel's Midnight Suns. If you're not subscribed to the channel, we'd obviously appreciate that so we can easily update you with new Marvel's Midnight Suns content as soon as it's available. And subscribe to my personal channel at Christopher Odd to see more gameplay whenever I'm able to share that. Thanks again to Marvel and 2K for partnering with me on this series, and we will see you guys next time.